All right, so we're recording. All right, guys. DB Network, what's up again? It's Mark Parson. I got one of my homies on here, one of my former teammates. We both went to Ohio University and we're good friends to this day. Thad Turner, how you doing today?
I'm great, man. I'm blessed, man. Glad to be on here. Talk ball. I love talking ball, so we can always do this anytime.
And that's exactly right. And we're gonna get into his story, but like we are just talking about it before we started recording. That's Coach Thad Turner. All right. So one of the cool things about that, guys, I'm a big believer in playing both sides of the ball if possible when you're young, like youth ball or high school, man, because you get to learn basically the enemy, how the enemy thinks, in the art of war. That's a good, you should write that down, the art of war. You need to know yourself, most importantly, but you need to know the enemy. Well, Thad knows offense and defense at a high level. I mean, he played both ways at college, right? But this, and I say both ways, he started out of offense and then went to DB, which you'll hear in the story. But this dude is coached. He's coached on both sides of the ball. So when it's time for him to be a head coach, it's going to be crazy because he knows, usually it's not like that. Usually it's, oh, I'm a defensive guy, so I coach defense. Or I'm an offensive guy, so I coach offense. And I'm not saying you don't know about it, but to know it at this level to where you can coach both, that's a different type of beast of a head coach that really, I've never heard of it. I've never heard of a guy to be able to do that. So he's very talented. So yeah, that, man, again, I appreciate you for hopping on the DB Network. Our goal is to share best practices and get guys developed, get guys to meet other people and to help guys reach that next level. Whether it's high school, whether it's youth, high school, college, or pro, we're helping guys all over the world. All right. So let's bring it all the way to the before I even met you. How did you get introduced to football?
Oh man, well that's easy. I mean, my dad, big sports guy. I was the youngest of four. I got two other brothers older than me, and so really just that's how we bonded was watching football, watching sports. Whether it was basketball, football, baseball. We was watching those sports. Watching the game. Stuff like that. So it was just really my dad. You know, got
Right.
me
And
into football though.
right. And where are you from?
Marietta, Georgia. Really, it's like north of Atlanta.
Right.
hmm
So Georgia being a football state, so you're not just playing some garbage talent. You're actually playing one of the best football states in the world, in Georgia. So all right, so youth football. So you're playing youth football. What position did they throw you in there? How did
Yeah.
that work out?
So I was a small kid. I would say skinny in a way. So I started off playing running back, and I was a pretty good running back. Um, but really, the reality is like I didn't want to get tackled. So I was doing everything I can not get tackled, and obviously that's what you need to be a good running back. And even then, as playing like pound balls, what we call it here in Georgia, you know, um, coaches were quickly telling me, hey, we want you to play quarterback. And so I started playing quarterback, in middle school. And I played quarterback through my sophomore year. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest with you, that to kind of connect all this together was my sophomore year. I was playing. I was a backup quarterback, which make you the JV quarterback. I went to high school with a lot of really good athletes, and to be honest with you, my older brother, my middle brother, older than me, he was the starting quarterback, right? And so I was the backup quarterback, and playing JV quarterback, and there was a game where like I had bruised ribs and I couldn't play in the game. And so basically, the point of this story is that I know the exact moment where I knew where I wanted to be a coach. I was just sitting on the sideline because I couldn't play in the game. I told the coach that I see a hole in the defense. We should call a certain play. We called the play and we scored. And there was a spark that went through my body, and I knew that's what I was going to do the rest of my life. So I kind of tell people that I'm not like NFL player that's now a coach. Like I was a coach that played in the NFL. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was really just around all these major figures like Bill Belichick, you know what I'm saying, and soaking up all their knowledge, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. And Coach Caldwell with the Colts and stuff like that. Like I always knew I was gonna coach. So I was just gonna I took every single conversation to heart. You know what I'm saying? Because I knew that's what I was gonna want to do.
Absolutely. So okay, so man, I never knew that, and I've known you for a long time. So that's pretty cool. So youth football, you have that experience. Now high school, Marietta High School, correct?
Mm. Yep.
So it's really cool because I met your starting quarterback before I even
Hmm.
met you and Brandon Jones, who,
Yep.
he could have gone power four,
Yep.
but somehow, some way, Ohio convinced him to come.
Yeah, so let me tell that story. So, like I said, my sophomore year, I was playing. I was a backup quarterback, and then at the end of that year, Brandon Jones transferred into my high school, and Brandon was a highly touted quarterback that was transferring in, and so I kind of had to find a way to get on the field, and so my coaches was like, "Hey, we want you to play receiver." So then I transitioned to play receiver, and actually got my scholarship to Ohio to play receiver. Coach Mason, which is now the head coach at Middle Tennessee State, he came into the football offices, and he looked at the film, and he liked what he saw, which you know helped me out a lot because, to be honest with you, that was a goal, just to go Division 1, and so he saw the film, and it wasn't until my senior year, where I was getting that look. And as soon as I got an offer from Ohio, I got the rest of the MAC to look at me, and I kind of felt like there was this team that showed the most interest in the first interest, and I went up there and I enjoyed my visit. And at the time, it was I think Brandon was committed to Illinois, and they had like 7 to maybe even 9 quarterbacks on their roster. I can't remember who coach was there at the time.
It was Ron Zook from
Ron
Florida.
Zook, that's right, and yeah, Ron Zook, and so he had a bunch of quarterbacks, and he didn't want to go through that situation, and and similar to how it is now, you can't wait to commit, and so it was getting late, and Brandon didn't have a place to go. I just told the Ohio staff that hey, my quarterback needs a place to go, like he's got these offers from major D1s, and so they looked at the film, they loved it, and so they offered him too, and then, so we ended up going there together, and so that always worked out for me, being a receiver, to bring your quarterback, what I'm saying? So we came in with a lot of chemistry, and so that helped me out too. But that was the start of going both playing, what I'm saying, both sides of the ball, and being a quarterback. Really, people don't really know that part. It's like I was actually a quarterback, and we wasn't running like a simple system. Like I was making checks and changing pass to runs, runs to passes, changing directions of the runs. That was stuff that I was doing in ninth grade, and so that was it. That was my experience in high school.
Yeah, man. So there's a couple things. One of the things that I would do when I could would be sit in the wide receivers room, like sit in the wide receiver room and just learn, through osmosis, man. Just what do you guys even think? Like,
Hmm.
what is the coach? What is he saying to you? How does he critique you?
Yep.
And knowing what you were able to do, I didn't even know about the quarterback situation because quarterbacks have to know what everybody is doing on the
Yeah.
field. You can't be a dumb quarterback, right? So
Right.
you play quarterback at a sophisticated offense in Marietta, Georgia. Then now here's another thing, and for everybody who's listening, when I was in high school, I was at Fort Union Military Academy. This is a very prestigious school. Like a lot of guys came from here. And I thought I was going to be Barry Sanders. Like I thought I was going to play running back. Like my goal was to be the greatest running back of all time. And my coach, John Schumann, he one
I
day
know
just
Sean. Yeah.
randomly in class. You remember John Schumann,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He said, "Parson, you're not going to play D1 running back. You're not gonna do it. You might as well quit. Just quit or
Yeah,
move the corner or something. And
yeah,
I remember boiling in my seat. I was so hot like that. No, I was
yeah.
like, I was in math. It was math class, and I'm like, but you know what? I took a, I was like, let me just observe. Let me just observe this. Let me assess this, and it was the best decision of my life, dude. And I
Hmm.
was like, looking back on it, I was like, man, I'm not trying to get hit by these 255 dudes, man, these
Yeah,
linebackers.
yeah. No,
So I
no,
made
I
that
feel
change.
it.
But it sounds like you had the emotional intelligence to to say, you know what, I want to get on this field and I can play. I'm versatile and flexible, so I can make it happen. So,
Well, to be honest with you, the high school transition from quarterback to receiver again, actually, you know what, actually both instances, it was a more or less me trying to get on the field. I was just trying
hmm
to get on the field, like, so in high school, they brought in this transfer quarterback and I'm like, I got to get on the field. And they brought in this guy for a reason, so let me learn how to play receiver, right? And then when I was in college, we ran like the modern triple option. And that receiver, you're not gonna get much, shine doing that, but in my first 2 seasons playing receiver at Ohio University, they put me in the game to run a reverse or be the pitch guy, right, from the receiver position. So I'm gonna get put in orbit motion. They see the play coming, or I would run a go ball, right. So what I noticed is that I didn't start either. So what happened is when I did get those 10 to 12 reps a game or more or less or whatever, the defensive ends would spread out, the corners would back up, and there was no room for me to do anything. Like, it was just very predictable. So the offense it just didn't click for me. It didn't work for me. And then Coach Solis brought me in his office. I had a similar conversation where he says, you know what, you can either play another 2 seasons, play receiver, but if you want to continue to play football, I've seen guys like you play corner in the NFL. And I said, say less. And so I just learned everything that I could. I heard NFL. And to be honest with you, man, that was really my first time really even considering NFL as an option,
mm,
was that particular conversation. Like, usually I was just out there trying to prove it to myself, prove it to my peers, what I'm saying, that I belong, to be honest with you, and so I was just trying to represent, what I'm saying, myself in Marietta and Georgia. When you go to a different state, you trying to represent, what I'm saying, where you're from. I was just trying to represent where I'm from and show I'm a good ball player. And so that was one of the first times I even thought about NFL, and so I just knew that I love the game of football, and I wanted to get on the field as much as I can. And I heard NFL, and I was like, let's go. You know what I'm saying? So that was the spark for me, just to, really embrace it, but you're right though, as far as knowing your opponent. Like, not only just playing receiver, me understanding from the quarterback position, I know that it's about timing too. So receivers can be open all day, but if the quarterback's not in a position to throw the ball, if he's not in the right timing to throw the ball, if his back foot ain't playing ready to throw the ball when he's open, then it does no good. And so, like, understanding that as a coach really helped me out, as far as like my philosophy, and understanding that as a player really helped me out, because I'm thinking like, okay, when he's gonna get the ball, when I need to be on him, what I'm saying, what's the most important part of this play, what I'm saying, just to succeed. And so and understanding that, and then when you add in like down the distance, ball on a certain hash, what part of the game it is, you can eliminate a lot of plays just with that alone. And then when you add in, okay, he took a certain stem or a certain split, or what I'm saying, things of that nature, I've eliminated, a lot of the route tree where there's only one or two routes that he can run, and then I just run the route for him, so I was able to be a cerebral player in that regard because I played so many different positions.
absolutely. So your football IQ is just incredible, and You know, the thing is, I'm 39. You know how it is. You watch so much ball over time. You're like, oh man, I finally know what's happening. But you were actually on the field playing with this knowledge. You know, which is, and you already. And the thing is, you're a fast guy already. So you
Mhm.
mix that speed with understanding what everybody else is doing on the field, man. You can play a lot faster. So I witnessed it. You know, I watched you. Most guys. Oh, my daughter just came in here. McKenna. One second. But yeah,
Guys,
guys, they can't make that transition
yeah,
over that easily.
yeah,
I mean,
and
like you made that transition in less than a year.
yeah, yeah,
You
and
know, you
and
made that
I had
transition
a
in
lot
less
of
than a year. It was
really good
fast, man.
really good coaches. I had never really even backpedaled until Coach Brown told me how to backpedal, and like just understanding it, and that was good too because I didn't come in with a lot of knowledge, so I ate everything up. I was a sponge. The things that people were telling me, what I'm saying, I really listened to. It wasn't like, oh, coach gonna talk about backpedaling. I don't really need to listen to that. I know how to backpedal. And you really end up just doing it your way or the way your high school coach did it. You know what I'm saying? Like I did it exactly the way that my coach wanted it because I had never learned it another way. And
Mm-hmm.
so, that's good too. And that's just part of being coachable, which is huge, being coachable, being as a coach, I understand that more than ever. I didn't really understand what that was, but that's just being coachable, you know, being able
So
to be diversible and be diverse too with it.
absolutely. So all right. So you get the starting position, and now there's a real possibility of you playing in the league. So take us through that process of going from college, like
Yeah.
into the pros, man. What were you thinking? How did you
Yeah.
prepare? All that good stuff.
So, I got a call from an agent, around middle of my senior year or going in my senior year or something like that. And, it said, hey, there's a chance that you might get drafted. And so, that was a shock to me. And that put a little extra boost in my step and everything else. But by that time I was starting to learn the position a lot better, but I was still learning. Like you said, I'd only played for 2 seasons, and I went right into it starting. I just went through the spring and started starting at cornerback at a different position, and I really by the time I was a senior, I started to understand really what I do well, and every DB needs to understand that. Like you're not gonna have every trait in your bag, but if you know what you do well, then you can like create situations where I don't have to I don't have to be in a position where I don't do things that way. I don't have to, if I'm a type of guy where if I wasn't as good of a back pedal guy, right, then I would create more opportunities to press. You know what I'm saying? And things of that nature. So I felt like I was really good at pressing, right? And because and the reason why I felt like I was really good at pressing is because I had really good top end speed, right? And so if I wanted to turn everything into a fade ball, because I knew that I wasn't going to lose on a fade ball, right?
Hmm.
And so it's just understanding like route trees. Like, okay, so now I know like if I just get hands on the inside, then the quarterback it's gonna look like to the quarterback that he's guarded. Regardless I am or not, I'm in the inside, and from his angle, it looks like he's guarded. You know what I'm saying? And I know that I can run with the fade, and so it just worked out for me to get really good at playing press man. You know what I'm saying? And then I add that to playing off man, and I got really good at reading 3-step. And so and
What does
that's
that
just
mean?
understanding again what 3-step is. You know what I'm saying? And like and something we say 3-step and we know what that is, but if you've never been a quarterback to really know what it is and how you gotta transition your eyes to where you gotta throw the ball first. And so like now I know exactly what the quarterback's thinking to execute a 3-step. And so like I see these things and I trigger. You know what I'm saying? I'm just able to play a little bit faster. You know what I'm
I
saying?
was
Just
just
find a
watching.
little edge.
No, you're man exactly right. I was just watching a quick 30-second clip of Kirk Cousins just talking about his progressions and what
Yeah.
he learned and how he had what he's looking at. What is the
Hmm.
quarterback looking at when he gets to his pre-snap read? You know, and then he was talking about it, how he had to change when he got to the NFL because you got the pressure, the guys coming,
Yep.
and he said you got to go through the pure progression. But so you understand that because you played offense.
Hmm.
There's a
Yeah.
couple guys that I've helped train or coach, and I'm like, I mentioned 3-step. They're like, what is that, right?
Hmm.
But if you're a quarterback, 3-step, 5-step, play action, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So exactly, man, that really helps out. Now,
And then I will say another thing too that really helps is route recognition. Okay, so what I saw a lot of corners that played nothing but cornerback their whole life, right? Let's say that we're in cover three and they get a snag by number one, right? And they chase the snag and I know a corner route's coming. You know what I'm saying? I know it. You know what I'm saying? And so that little one step towards the snag and they beat on the corner versus, you know what I'm saying? I'm kind of already looking for it. Like that split a little nasty. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so as soon as he take a step in, I ain't chasing it. And then I'm ready for the corner and I'm on top. And the thing about it is like that doesn't even the ball never even thrown to the corner. So it doesn't get shown. It doesn't get shown. It's not something, it's not a stat that gets seen. It's just when you look at it, it's like, oh well, it just seemed like the corner was out there. He didn't get that many balls thrown to him. That's because he knows what he's doing. I didn't have a lot of opportunities because I was like, oh, I'm all over it. I'm all over it. And then you get to a point where like, at the end in your your college career, like guys that made it to the NFL was like, oh, they're not throwing my way. It was like, well, yeah, I mean, you're one of the best out here. You know what I'm saying? And at cornerback, and safety or whatever, it's like when you don't get no action, that means you're doing your job.
hmm uh, speaking of that, by the way, you mentioned focusing on having a particular skill set, and you mentioned your ability to impress man.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys in here tonight are young fellas. They're probably on social media and stuff. That was the second person ever to post cornerback clips on YouTube, guys. He's the second person. He's to post his one-on-ones. Dad, you probably had like 100,000
Had a lot
plus
of views.
views in
Yeah.
like 2013, 2000.
Yeah,
No, it's
it
like
was no
2010.
2008, 2009.
Yeah.
I put out a YouTube tape that was basically just one-on-ones, practice tape, one-on-ones, right?
hmm
And again, that was me fighting for what I thought fighting for what I wanted. You know what I'm saying? Didn't really know if I was gonna get a shot to play in the NFL, trying to get my name out there and doing what I think I know, you know what I'm saying, to gather some attention around my name. And I, you know what I'm saying, put a tape out there and I get people ask me about it all the time. And the stuff that I was doing, some of that stuff was relevant. Obviously, I use a lot of that stuff in the NFL because it was such a short time frame between college and NFL. And some of that stuff I look at, I'm like, geez, you know how you look at film and it's like,
Yeah.
golly, that don't look
Right.
too good. But or I wish I would have did some things differently. But that was a good tape too, man. But like I said, man, I learned so much between them 2 years. And I put a lot of that information out there, but I'm still teaching that stuff, man. I'm
Mhm.
still using that stuff. I mean, we see stuff all the time in football where like people might dress it up differently. They might be in shotgun, but they still run triple option. You know what I'm saying? They might call it the zone read or whatever the heck, but they still run the same stuff, man. And I'm all about doing what's tried and true. I'm all about the fundamentals. You know what I'm saying? The basics, finding out what we're gonna do the best, right, and just leaning in on that.
All right, so we're gonna. I would like you. You played for the greatest coach of all time, and Bill Belichick. So I want to hear about that experience, and then we're gonna get into Thad's going to actually. We're gonna share screen, and he's gonna go over some great information and football IQ. Which I mean, this again, I say it's life changing information because you guys are gonna get exposure to this. Exposure leads to expansion. So pay attention. But Thad, playing for a guy like him, Belichick's a defensive coach, defensive minded coach.
Yeah.
Um, Man, what was that like? You with the goat, man.
Yeah, and I would say like this, like um, I, I personally, I like anytime that I talk about Coach Belichick and my time there, I like to really bring up Coach Solich too, because ultimately, Coach Solich, and Coach Belichick, those are the guys that really taught me the game. Those are the head coaches that taught me the game with most of my time in football. And what I always felt was we were always prepared. You know what I'm saying? Whether we're talking about college or the NFL, that's what those two have in common. Is like you come into the game and you've always felt prepared. And so attention to detail was a huge thing with Coach Belichick. Some things that you wouldn't necessarily think that he would be able to help you out in as far as like DB play, because you would look at him and you would say like, oh, that can't be his specialty. But he knows so much about the game of football that like, he would drop little small gems that like, dang, I never thought about that. You know what I'm saying? And so just a very talented coach. Always prepared. Like I said, there's one particular example that he pointed out to me in particular, that I always take with me as far as getting pass breakups. And you know how like if you're in a trail position playing DB and the receiver has his hands out like this to cradle the ball, to catch the ball, and oftentimes you see DBs that'll come in and they'll swipe and try to get the tackle, but they're swiping at the ball, but they're swiping down on the ball, right? And he's saying, when the receiver goes to catch the ball, what does he do? When he does, he has to come, he cradles it in right there, right? So as you're in the trail position, you should always punch up and through, right? So as he's trying to cradle it in, you're punching up and through, and that's how you get a pass breakup. And you just really have to get in a position where you're not panicking. Even in a trail position, you can still make a play on the ball. And so that's one thing that now I say it so much and I teach it so much, and we practice that particular thing as far as my press progression is something that I do all the time, that it seems mundane now, but I learned that from him. You know what I'm saying? Every single DB coach up to that point is talk about securing the tackle and going down and stripping it out. You know what I'm saying? That was the way that people taught you. You know what I'm saying? But he was like, no, punch up and through and you get the ball out. You know what I'm saying? And so that helped me out. But that was just one thing. It was so much detail. You know what I'm saying? And from every position. And so, just being prepared, no nonsense, just being tough. And so, that's the stuff that I learned from Coach Belichick, that I, take on with me now as a, coach myself.
Got you. All right, Thad. So I'm gonna give you the yeah. So I'm gonna allow you to share your screen, and you are
Okay.
good to go, brother.
All right. So I'm gonna be honest with you. I can be long winded when it comes to talking about football. I really can. And but at the end of the day, I'm gonna try to get through this pretty fast. So I'm gonna breeze through this stuff. All right. So three major things I want to hit. Okay. And there, I want to talk about front stunts and fits. Okay. We want to know how this thing is fitted up. Okay. Even in the DB in the back end. All right. I want to talk about press quarters and cover four variations. That's my main coverage that I run. All right, is press quarters, right? And then I mix it up with different cover four variations. And then I want to talk about the technique of how to play press man and press cover four in particular. Okay, so that's going to be the agenda. I'm gonna go as fast as possible, and then for if I'm going too fast, we run out of time. Y'all can always reach out to me, and I'm always trying to talk about for real. All right, so my base is a 4-3 nickel. And the reason why is because, I like to run a defense that can be versatile between all different personnel groupings. Okay, now this is for I was a coordinator, right, in junior college, right. I started off at Dodge City Community College. I was a coordinator at Georgia Military College. I was an offensive coordinator at Middle Georgia College. Okay, so but either way it goes. Now the reason why I wanted a defense that can adjust to all formations and schemes was because of one, practice time, and number two is like, without trying to be like facetious or nothing, but these aren't professionals. These are college students. All right. The time that I have with them, um, really wasn't as much as I would need to run a pro style multiple defense, as they would call it. Like, if I was working with pros, or if I had a lot more time, like a lot of times in JUCO, we get a guy literally 2 weeks before the first game, right? And we got to get them ready to play. And so I pride myself in having a defense that's simple to understand but effective. And so I run a 4-3 nickel, and it can adjust to all formations that we're going to see in all different personnel groupings. Now, that's not to say I don't use other personnel groupings. I do, but I can run this base defense on anything right now. Like, it'd be goal line. They bring in another tight end. I got stuff for that. If they bring in, whatever. If they're just straight empty, I got something for that too. But at the end of the day, this can't adjust to all formations. All right. So why? All right. I like 4D linemen on the field. We're gonna win the line of scrimmage, point blank, period. First and foremost, we're not gonna have no linebacker in a three-point defense. Off the ball. No, big guys beat up little guys. All right, we keep 4D linemen on the field. All right, and then another thing about that is, it's hard enough for guys to stay in one gap. So I'm not going to create a two gap scheme. All right, I believe in one gap defense. I'm gonna make it easy to win. I don't want to have any built-in excuses for players. If I tell them to stay in this one gap, all I need you to do is this one thing, right? And I expect him to perfect that job. I don't need him to do two different things. I don't need him to be in the A gap and the B gap. Just sit in the A gap and do your job, right? And that helps us be more effective, more consistently. All right. And I want to keep things simple. All right. And so how we want to do it, everything starts with the overfront, right? We start there. All right. And then we adjust to all formation schemes based on personnel. All right. As far as how we fit everything up, I think it's important to talk about gap schemes and how you fit gap schemes up. Like, basically, are you going to box it or are you going to spill it? All right. So essentially, when they create another gap, all right, we got to know how we're going to handle that puller. Okay, are we going to box it and keep everything tight and try to keep everything in the condensed area, or we're going to spill it and get the ball to go east to west? All right, now I believe in spilling everything. But now the old school way of spilling everything is, wrong arming. You see that defensive end like do like this and wrong arm him, right? And he basically takes himself out to play, right? I use what's called a dent technique, and it is exactly what it sounds like. We want to be denting the face mask end of those pullers. I mean, it's a violent hit, and we're still getting to the inside shoulder, but we're smacking that guy and we're getting vertical so we can make a play on the ball too. We're not just giving up gap for gap. So we spill everything, and I use what's called a dent technique. It's a violent technique that allows us to still play the ball as it gets bounced to the east or west. All right. Now I keep a cover 4 shell. All right, we move on the snap. All right, so that's just to keep things consistent. Right now, I think it's more important to get in position to execute your assignment versus holding the disguise. Right, and we talk about that as well. But again, we got to trick one person out there. That's the quarterback. We ain't got to trick the coordinator on the other team. It's all about just confusing the quarterback, right? And I think that a lot of people just simply give quarterbacks a little bit too much credit, right? These guys are college students as well, right? So we're gonna move on them, right? We're gonna move on them on the snap, all right, and we're gonna keep them guessing, but we don't have to overcomplicate our scheme just to confuse a quarterback that I feel like has to gain that respect versus just give it out just because he's the quarterback. All right. And then by doing that, all right, it creates no confusion. All right. We're accountable for all gaps. We're accountable for all men when we play the cover four scheme that I'm gonna go over. Okay. So that's the how and the why. All right, so let's talk about the over front. Okay, like I talked about, you know, I only want to use only one gap, only one gap. So if we look at these six formations, all right, I start off here in every single thing that we install. I always start. I call this doubles. All right, with the tight end, whether we're talking about doubles on or doubles off, I call this doubles. I call this spread. These are 2x2 sets. Right. I call this trio with the tight end, whether we're trio on or trio off, right? And this is trips, right? These are my 3x1 sets, okay? And then these are my special checks, right? Where we call this tray formation, where we got this trips with the tight end on the backside, okay? Or we got empty, okay? And we'll talk about these different checks. But let's just talk about over out of doubles with the tight end, okay? First of all, let's talk about how we play a tight end with the end. He's still going to be a part of this C gap. He's just going to line up, head up on this tight end, right? Man hand down. He's going to fit in this C gap, okay? All right. Now we call this over front. We're going to put these tackles. Now, some people call one a nose, some would call a tackle. All right. Or I really want these guys to be interchangeable. So I just call them tackles. Okay. To be honest with you, I'm more concerned with a D lineman being left-handed or right-handed and where I want him to go, whether the strong side or the weak side. I want his strong side to be his man hand down, right? So if I got a left-handed guy, I would rather him be on the right side because his left hand is going to be down and he's going to be able to control the lineman just a little bit better in my mind. And on top of that, I don't like fat D linemen. So I'm not looking for like this huge tackle anyway. I want guys that can run. All right. And so I want big guys, but I don't want fat guys. We want guys that can run. All right. So our ends are in the C gaps, our tackles, right? Whether we're talking about we call the strength out to the tight end, okay? And we can kind of briefly go over this now. Whether the tight end is on the ball or off the ball, right? What I call a Y zone, right? Whether we're talking about whether the ghost tight end is up into, all right, the toes of the quarterback, all right? If he's in a position, he's in the box, but he's not in a position to gain a handoff, we call that the Y zone. Wherever he's lined up, we call him the Y, and we're going to set the front to the Y. All right, so in this diagram right here, we got a strong left. Now put this tackle in the 3 technique and put this tackle in the 2 eye. All right, really easy. All right, in a 10 personnel set, right, where we don't have a tight end in the game and nobody in the Y zone, right, we're going to check blue. Blue just means opposite the running back. All right, so, but if he's in a pistol, we go to the passing strength for the quarterback. Okay, so right now in this example, we call this a strong left. Okay, so how we do this between the mic and the wheel and the star. Let's talk about these positions right here. Now, anytime now the star doesn't have a gap. All right, the wheel does have a run gap. Okay, so if he's outside the box here, right, in an apex position, all right, we give a cop call, right? Basically, anytime the linebackers give a call, he's saying what gap he has. So cop sounds with a C, right? He's going to say cop, 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 letting the end know that he's got the C gap. He's going to relay, the end's going to relay that to the tackle, and they're going to stunt A to B, right? And so now we still got every gap covered, right? You're talking about the gaps, okay? And then we're moving on to this trio set. Same thing here. Now the Mike and Will are in the box. We don't have any issues with gaps. We don't have any issues with gaps. Okay, now let's talk about this this D gap out here and guarding tight ends. We're talking about gaps. Okay, now anytime that we're guarding a tight end, whether we're talking about the free safety or the strong safety, which I call the dog safety. All right, anytime we're talking about guarding tight ends from a safety position, all right, we want to align Okay, we want to align 10 yards off of them. All right, by one, 10 by one outside. All right, so how do we say it? We say my man, my gap. Right. So if this guy blocks, he run blocks, and I guarding him naturally. All right, my gap would fit right there on the D gap. If he releases, he's gonna release through the gap that I'm looking at, and I'm gonna guard him right in the cover four scheme. Okay, so again, we got trips right. We got a trio set right here. All right. And so now we're going to be stealing this tight end if we're in our regular cover four defense. Right. But we got this star right here to play this outside gap. Okay. All right. And the dog safety here to run this alley. Okay. So we're a gap sound defense. We only have one guy in a gap always. Okay. All right. So kind of moving fast. Now we're talking about this trips formation. Now our Mike is out the box. All right. He's going to give a cop call. Right. And then the end's going to relay the call to the tackle. And so now we still have all gaps covered. Okay. Now we talk about this tray formation. There's a couple different checks that I run out of this, but my first check, and because it's a part of a teaching progression, is where I would check six. So what six means is a quarter half defense, right? But how we adjust to trips in our quarter half defense, we play a triangle, all right, to the three receiver side. Some people call it mini. Essentially, we're pressing, all right, the number one with our corner, right? And we're going to play a read defense or palms defense between and reading three, all right, between the star, the Mike, and the strong safety, the dog safety. All right, we're basically reading three. And I have these guys, and we play triangle defense, all right, we're reading three. All right, I have these guys, these stars, right? We're really reading three routes. All right. A lot of guys, they say, all right, well, if we get a 5 yard out, right, then the star is going to take it, and then the dog or the strong safety will transition to the new, all right, number three. All right. So I just have them look for three routes. All right. I look for the bubble, the quick flat, or the 5 yard out. Those are literally the only routes that we're looking for. Right. Anything else, it turns into confusion, right? And the dog doesn't know whether you switch with them or not, right? And it creates confusion. We're only looking for those three routes, right? The bubble, the flat, or the 5 yard out. All right. If we don't see those, then the star's on the two, the dog's on the three, right? The Mike, right? The Mike is in the hook. All right. And he's inside of three, all right, up to 10 yards. Okay. All right. And then the backside, we play hard, which is half field hard. All right. Where we're in cover two on the backside. Okay. All right. So one of the other checks that we could be in, we'll just play cover three. All right. We'll back him off the line. Right. And then that's his third there. Okay. That's another way that we could do it. Okay. Or we could play field or flip, right? Where we'll rotate cover three to the three receiver side, right? There's a couple different checks that we can run against this tray formation. All right. And then lastly, but this is the first way that we do it. All right, because again, now we get the empty check. Now we're still running triangle to this three receiver side, which we already taught here, right? And now we're just running triangle again on the two receiver side, and we call this palms. So now this corner's reading two. And again, he's looking for these three routes. He's looking for the bubble, all right, the flat, or the quick out. If he doesn't see that, his eyes go to one, and that's his guy, right? And so essentially we're playing triangle here and we're playing triangle here. It's just against two receivers. We call it palms. It's a two read defense. Okay. All right. So that's a little bit, that's over. Okay. So let's talk very, very quickly about 12 personnel, 21 personnel, and how we get lined up and ready to go. And like I said, this defense allows us to adjust to all formations and personnels. Okay, so Ace, we got two tight ends. Again, my man, my gap, he's going to fit out here. Ian's going to fit in the C gap, right? And we're gap sound. Now, there's no number two to apex, all right? So the star is going to walk down to the line of scrimmage, right? He's going to give a I'm here call, right? So now this end does not need to get head up on this tight end, right? He can just go ahead and just get in his gap and dominate his gap. And my man, my gap will put his left hand down and putting his left hand on this tackle, right, to dominate and control that gap. Okay. Now we get ace off. All right, really it's the same thing. Okay. Now far is just saying that, all right, we're just basically wherever this off tight end is or fullback, however you want to look at it, right? He's just off the ball. He's far away from the tight end, right? The star's going to still go to the passing strip. He's giving an I'm here call, and we're a gap sound defense, right? Near, right? Now we really got a trips over here on this side, right? And now our dog safety is going to fit, all right, in this C gap. Because again, it's my man, my gap, and he's fitting right there, right? Stars on the edge. Okay. Twins far. All right. We got the corner walk down like we did on that other dead side formation. Right. And we can run those similar different formation checks. Right. And then we're still gap sound. He's in apex position. All right. He's running this alley. He's here. Right. And then we got this free safety backside. Really, he could be in half field, but our corners walk down. It just depends on our coverage that we got behind it. All right. And then twins near. Okay, so we can adjust to all formations, right, and personnels. All right, a couple more formations. This is the I. Okay, all right. This is twins I. Okay, and I call these well, this is a 21. These two back formations, king and queen. Okay, I'll call king with the tight end, queen or with no tight end, which puts an extra receiver in the game. All right. But and then ace doubles and ace trio. So essentially, for the most part, this is going to get us lined up in our base defense. Now we can always talk about, all right, now we're playing this particular school. They like to run these formations, and I'm gonna give them those looks during the week, right? And we're gonna make our adjustments. But off rip, we can be able to play our base. All right. All right, going fast. All right, just different front variations. Now, like I said, we got to keep it moving on them. We got to keep it moving on these O linemen, right? So we want to get these not just line up in our gap, but we start from an over perspective. We say opposite tackle switch. We say heads, right? But we put our tackles head up on the guards, right? And we can give a head strong or heads weak where they're going to slant other way, right? We can give a tough call that puts them in 2 eyes. We can give a tack call that puts them in 2-3 techniques. All right. All right. Now we talk about gap exchange fronts. Okay. Now on the back side, this is generally an 11 personnel deal. Right. If we go rhino, right, on the back side of this rhino, all right, we're going to exchange these gaps between the end and this mic. All right. All right. If we go red, we're going to give the look like we're going to exchange the gaps, right? But we're going to keep it the same. All right. And then we can run dragon, right? Where now we're just going to show up in the gap in. We're not going to be head up on this guy. We're going to show up in the gap. Okay. And we're just going to take away the middle of the field. All right. Front reductions and auto checks. All right. Again, like I said, in 10 personnel, we'll check blue. All right. And this will put a cop call on our wheel or our mic, depending on if it's spread or if it's trips. Okay. All right. We can give a bat call, right? Just puts the it's just another way for the wheel or the mic to play their gap, but also be in an apex position. Now he's saying, like, I got the B gap. I can get to the B gap from here. All right. And this will be something that we'll determine whether we're playing a mobile quarterback or not, and we want to keep the end on the quarterback on the zone read. Now we'll just give a back call, right, and we'll keep the end outside, right, and then he's just staying square on the quarterback on the zone read look, right, and then my wheels got to get to the B gap. He may not play the apex as much. He might have to look at his free safety and say, hey, I'm not going to give you a reroute right here. I got to be in the B gap. You know what I'm saying? But either way it goes, that's what we're saying. We're saying what gap we're in. If the wheel is giving a cop call, he's saying, I got the C gap. If he's giving a back call, he's saying, I got the B gap. Right? All right. We talk about some passing fronts, all right, or at least alignments. We can go green. It's going to put our ends in the wide nines and put our put our tackles in wide threes. All right, we can go load, which we're just overloading a particular side of the ball. Strong load, weak zone, weak load, whatever. All right, run stunts. Okay, this is my favorite one, pinch. All right, we're taking away the inside. We want everything bounce. We got our free safeties running the alley. We got our star here on the edge, right? And we make everything bounce. All right, this is my favorite 3rd-and-1 call. I don't care that anybody knows it, right? We're taking it away. Okay, we're taking it away. Pinch. Okay, we run spike, right, which basically will put the 3 technique in the A gap. We run ace, right, which basically the Mike and Will saying, hey, we got the A gap. We're saying ace, right? And then we can go bite. We say, hey, we got the B gap. We're going to bite. So no matter how we lined up, you guys need to stunt to the A tackles. All right, that's bite. All right, we can go strong. All right, we're at how we lined up. The tackles are going to the strength. All right, and then the Mike and Will respectively A and B gap. Weak, same thing. Stab. Now we got the start that has a run gap. Right, and now we gain a guy. We tell the end to run stunt to the B gap. We gain a guy on the C gap with the star. This usually doesn't have a run gap. All right, passing stunts. All right, now we can run eat. This is in first, tackle second. This is just simple stuff. For me, I felt like I always ran a the 101, like the day one, the spring ball defense. But what makes it special is the reps. Like we ain't put so much in that you know we can go through practice and practice all this stuff, and then you get to the game and then be like, oh, coach never ran that blitz. Now I'm gonna run the blitz because we only gonna have but like 3 or 4. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna run a particular thing because we only gonna have but a certain amount. You know what I'm saying? But we get really good at what we do. Okay. All right. Just keep on going along. Taxis puts a tech stunt on the strong side and the eat stunt to the weak side. Nitro is a nose, what would have been the nose. The nose and tackle stunt. Loop is a 3-man stunt. All right. From the weak side in. All right. Knot is basically the is the spy that correlates with the loop stunt. Okay, now the end is looking like we're running our loop stunt, but now the end becomes a spy. All right, now twist is for the strong side, for the tackle to become the outside, right? And then we go thick, and now that same thing, like I said, now it becomes this end again that's gonna come in and be the spy. We look like we're running our twist, but really our end is running the spy. Okay, so all that's to be said is like that's just our front stunts and for the upfront stuff and how we can make sure that we're in our gap even from the back end. Okay, all right, gonna go a lot faster trying to get through the cover stuff, but this is the stuff that I like the most. It's just we're kind of running out of time. But here we go. All right, press quarters and cover 4 variations. All right, so in 2024, I ran 71% of some sort of cover 4. All right. A lot of cover 4. Again, the reason why I do that is because we got really good at it. And why do I need to show off that I can run a whole bunch of different coverages if really the result, what I really want is to win the game? It's like I had to, put my ego to the side and be like, you know what? I don't need to show how all this different stuff that I can teach. I want to win the game, right? This is what we did best. This is what we're able to put in a lot of practice time to get really good at it. So we ran it 71% of the time. We ran some sort of cover 1 only 8% of the time, right? We blitzed only 8% of the time, right? And you'll see our sack numbers was the second highest in the country in JUCO in 2024. Okay, we ran zero pill, which is kind of like a goal line defense or an eagle 4, it was like a goal line defense, and then a zero hole, which is another goal line defense. So if you see, like, even if you were to, these are not necessarily blitzes right here. We blitz less than 10% of the time, right? And we had the second most sacks in JUCO. All right. So again, the why is because we maximize practice reps. Right, we're gonna get really good at a couple things, right? And because I know that we can trick the quarterback. It's not about tricking the coordinator that's been studying football. He got to study science, the quarterback do. He don't study football like I do. You know what I'm saying? So I can trick him. I have no problem in that. I don't need to have 20,000 different coverages just to trick an 18-year-old kid playing quarterback. All right. All right. So it gives us tight coverage, and that's the key. All right. And it gives us no coverage bust. It makes our assignments very clear. Who's got who. All right. And again, like I said, we do what we do best. All right. We keep a cover four shell. All right. And we spill everything with that cover four shell. So not only so our run scheme, our run defense matches our passing defense. So just a rule of thumb, you don't want to have a spill defense with one safety high, because who you spilling it to, right? You might say you're spilling it to the linebacker that's supposed to be scraping, right? But there's linemen for him, right? Somebody's expected to block him, right? So we always got safeties there to run the alleys too. Okay, so this helps us, helps us teach is understanding families. Okay, so when I say that, it's like when I call a cover four family, we kind of have a good idea of what to do. You know what I'm saying? Because it all correlates. The technique is the same based off the family, right? So in our cover four family, all right, the ones highlighted is the ones I'll talk about in more detail. But dollar, all right, and then we got our trips check on everything. Okay, so dollar is 4 quarters equals a dollar. So I call dollar cover four. All right, and our trips check is steel. And we'll go over this a little bit more. And then we can go down this a little bit. I'll just go over the highlighted ones. All right, 6 is quarter, quarter, half defense. All right, and our trips check is triangle. Okay, all right, and then we also teach palms. All right, palms gives us our read to defense, is how we learn triangle. Okay, all right, now we talk about pirate, which is our cover one. Okay, and then we have different tags off of that. Okay, now we can tag fire, right, which will put um a a the mic or wheel to blitz to the backside, or flame away from the back, right, or whatever. Or and then if we want to like build a call out, let's say that we want to go heads, like heads ace fire pirate, right? Instead of saying all that, we'll just call that tequila. You know what I'm saying? So whatever the case may be, we build these blitzes based off the fronts and the stunts, right? And then we add a blitz to it, right? And we give it a new name, right? But it's still just cover one pirate. Okay. All right. Our cover three family. All right. We can run regular cover three, which is just zone, right? We can tag a blitzer on zone, right? Or we can run a flip, which is a field cover three, right? Well, now the corner to the field side, right, is squatting, right? Or we can call cloud, which now the corner to the boundary is squatting. Okay, our cover zero family, to us in the back end, everything's the same. All right, we just got to know we're in a cover zero. Like we're going to be flat footed. All right, we expected the ball to come out fast. All right, that's the technique that we're using. Right, but we just got to understand the defense. All right, so Apple is a double A, Axe is a cross double A. You know what I'm saying? Boston, again, we're going to the B gap, talking about the linebackers. So now our tackles know to get out the B gaps. Boston, double B, saw. We got a salmon wheel, right? Chainsaw. All right, smoke. It's just different blitzes that we can come up with in our cover zero family. But obviously, we're bringing 6. All right, so we got 5 in coverage. In our red zone family, all right, we run pony, bulldog, money, different stuff like that. And I'll go over pony. All right, let's talk about dollar. This is the day one coverage. Like I can call dollar the entire game and I won't get bored because I know that we're gonna win, and ultimately this is what I know. All right, so real simple, without all these words, and you guys can screenshot this, the words to, but I'm just gonna break it down real easy. All right, so dollar. All right, 4 quarters equals a dollar. Now, what that means is, okay, corner, you got the one, we got the one, safety's got the two. That's it. It's that easy. All right. So after 5 yards, if he doesn't run an under route, that's my guy. That's my guy. All right. Okay. Now, from the safety position, I think that the magic comes in is, all right, I play catch technique with the safeties. Okay. Now, that decision was made based off of the tendencies of the referees to not call pass interference. All right. The ability of the safeties that I have, right? And really the trend of the league of what's working. All right, so we're playing catch technique. These guys is hard for them to, the receivers is hard for them to run routes as they're getting pushed. So we want to focus on reroutes. We want to basically guard these slot receivers or these tight ends right off their reroute. And that's another reason why we want to play catch technique. We want to play a tight end at 10 yards. We want to play a receiver at 12 yards. And we want to walk down at that, right? We want to get hands on these guys fast so they can't make their move. We want to catch them right off their reroute. All right. Our Will and our Star is rerouting to the flat. Our Mike is dropping to the hole. He's matching number 3 vertical. Right. Now, if we get any sort of trip set, which is these right here, right, we're going to steal 3. Steal 3. Right. So again, we got 3 vertical. Right. Mike's going to be inside of 3 up until 10 yards, and we don't have to be in the middle of the field to do it. We can just weave to 3, right, and play it like that. Now, honestly, when we get a true trips call, right, we'll just give a loose signal, right, to everybody, which basically is a true cover 4. All right, we're going to match on the new number 1, new number 2, and the new number 3, right, as it progresses. All right, we're going to pass everything off. All right, and that's how I'll say it too. We're going to pass everything off. I always end up on the new number 1, new number 2, new number 3. Okay. Now, and that's how we'll give this loose call. And any of these formations, if they were to line up in a tight split, all right, we look at our corner, looks at our safety looks at our corner, we give a loose signal, all right, and we know that, hey, I'm on the new number 1 if I'm the corner, I'm on the new number 2 if I'm the safety, right? We can expect some sort of switch release, all right? So dollar is our straight cover 4 call, okay? Now, let's talk about cover 6. Cover 6, like I said, is quarter, half, right? We always play the hard. Well, I'll say it like this. We always play dollar, right, to the star side. Wherever the stars lined up, we're playing dollar to it. Wherever the stars lined up, we're playing dollar to it, right? And we can give a lock or loose call. Okay? We give a lock or loose call, right? I believe at one point we always gave a loose call against 6. Okay. Now the backside is in hard. Okay, we're getting a reroute on 2. We're trying to capture his outside shoulder. All right, we're seeing anything coming to our flats. All right, from number 2 or 3. All right, and we're rerouting. We're exit angle, reroute exit angle, reroute exit angle every single time. Right, nothing to think about. Reroute exit angle. All right, we're playing half field here. All right, Mike still got to carry 3 vertical. All right, and that's 6. Okay, anytime that we get out of this is if we get this trips call, right? And then we're going to play triangle over here, right? And then we can still play hard on the backside, right? Another little point about hard technique is, all right, we always want to notice if the back is away from us. In the shotgun situation, if the back is away, right, and we're in hard, okay, looking here, let's say that the back is away. He's right here where my mouse is, right? As soon as he comes towards the mesh point, we're going to beat this block and we're going to show up on the edge, right? The same way that our free safety would have ran the alley if we was in cover 4. All right, that's just a little small nuance about the cover 6. All right, let's talk about Pirate is our cover one call. All right, now our star's in coverage and he's guarding the slot. Okay, star's in coverage and he's guarding the slot. We're guarding our tight end again, 10 by 1. We're going to rock and roll on the tight end if he's off the ball. Okay, so between the both safeties, if he's off the ball, we could get a hide route, which will put him over here on this side, right? And then we're gonna roll down with the dog safety, put this free safety in the middle of the field. So anytime we got a Y off situation and we're in Pirate, our safeties are gonna rock and roll it, right? So we're gonna read the release of this tight end. All right. So if he makes a move or takes a step this way in this particular diagram, all right, then he's going to roll down, dog safety's in the middle of the field. Okay. All right. If he releases straight out the field, the dog safety has him, free safety's in the middle of the field. All right, we're going to rock and roll with the dog and free safety, right? And then between the mic and the wheel, right, we're just going to repeat the call, which is Pirate. Basically, we're reading the release of the back, right? And then the opposite guy, the Michael Will, that's not in coverage or guarding the back, right, drops into the hole. All right, so now we're in a cover one hole, right? And we can maintain a cover four shell, rock and roll on a tight end, right? And basically combo cover this running back here. Okay. Now I'm just going to talk about doubles and trips, and we can talk about empty. We won't have enough time to go there. All right. Now, lastly, we'll talk about goal line coverage. All right, we'll take the star out the game. We'll put in an extra, a true nose guard, right? And we're running a 5-2 cover zero hole. Okay, so between the mic and the wheel, all right, wherever the back releases, right, the back he's going to have the mic's going to have that gap. I mean that running back wherever the back releases, right, between the corner and safety, they're going to guard these guys man. All right, we always want to play at different levels. All right, we got different motion rules and adjustments. All right, which I call banjo to bump. Okay, so as those receivers get close, we're going to banjo it. All right, which is a combination coverage. And if that motion guy keeps going, right, then we're just going to bump it over. Right. So as he gets close, we're banjo, banjo, banjo. He keeps going, bump, 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 bump. And so now if this guy was to go in motion, these guys tight. So now the dog, he bumps over. Right. And that's how we play that. Okay. So anytime a guy is, let's say a safety is guarding a tight end on the ball, now we just walk down, we play this guy man from the line of scrimmage, and it's still my man, my gap. So we're still gap sound as well. All right. This takes some practice, but it's a really good goal line defense work well for us for me in my career. So I'm gonna keep doing it. But lastly, I want to talk about, and again, gotta go fast, but is press man and press quarters. Really want to just talk to you about technique and my philosophy of why it works this way and how I can marry my press man technique with my press quarters technique, right? Because it's two different things, but we do it similar. All right, so let's just talk about real quick about the self scouting. Okay, so in 24 press coverage snaps, okay, we had 165 press coverage snaps, okay, and 24 targets. Okay, so basically what that means is when we lined up in press, they just didn't want to throw the ball to our guys. Essentially, that's what this number is telling me. Right, out of the entire season, right, we only got 24 balls when we pressed, right, and only 5 were completed. Right, we had 3 fades that were completed, 1 slant. Right, but they threw a bunch of them. You get what I'm saying? They ran a bunch of them through more than anything else. They threw fades, right, but they only completed 3. Right. In general, the star win rate in man coverage was at a 76%, and I grade this on at the end of the play. Is he in arm distance away? All right, so 76% of the time in man coverage, our stars in win. I won. All right, and he only had 1 ball completed on him the entire season. Right, in man coverage, right, which was Excellent. Okay. And to be honest with you, in 2023 at Dodge City, these numbers were better. We pressed maybe 300 times, right? And the numbers were similar everywhere else. Like that group was just more confident to play press man, right? But all of them really did a good job for me. Okay, and again, the reason why I want to do it is when we're pressed, we're challenging receivers. All right, to a quarterback, it looks like this guy is guarded. Like there's nowhere for me to go with the ball. I'd rather go and try my luck with the corner that's playing off or safety that's playing off. So this is what this taught me. It's like we're challenging receivers. The quarterback looks like if we don't win on line of scrimmage, he's off of that read. All right. We make the quarterback play at an elite level. What I mean by that is like we're always got tight coverage. There's really no confusion about who's got who. So in a zone country cover 3 defense, right? Receivers are taught to find the hole and sit in the hole, right? The quarterback can be a little bit off, right? If he throws a ball right here, right, and there's nobody around him, it really makes no difference where he throws the ball versus like if he throws the ball right here and he has to throw the ball right here because the defender's right here on his shoulder versus throwing the ball right here and the ball's picked off, right? In our press coverage, right? And so it makes the quarterback play at an elite level. All right. And again, it just comes down to my philosophy is these quarterbacks ain't that good. All right. That's what it is. These quarterbacks ain't that good. All right. And we make them pat the ball and it works, right? And it disrupts timing. All right. Again, we were second in the nation in sacks and we had 43 sacks, all right, in 10 games. All right. Really good job there. Okay. Press man philosophy. Okay. Again, like I said, I want to make the quarterback complete the toughest pass. Okay. We're talking about the comeback. That's it. The comeback is the toughest ball. All right. So that's the longest throw. Okay. We want to take away the inside by alignment. All right. Unless we get a tight split. Okay. How do we do that? All right. We want to put our outside foot on the crotch of the receiver. All right. So that puts us half a man inside. Okay. That puts us half a man inside. Okay. We want to think about these routes in 3 parts. Okay. All right. There's a release, a transition, and a finish. Okay. So when you're talking about the release, okay, first of all, the receiver's going to know that he's been in a fight because we're going to get hands on. My philosophy. All right. If we don't get hands on, you might as well just play off. Like I don't teach what is it called when off man jam. I don't teach motor technique, right? And that's not to knock anybody else's philosophy because I do know that there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to get it done. But this is the way that I know how to get it done, right? We take away the inside, right? I'm going to take a patient step to keep myself inside, right? And I'm going to stay square to the line of scrimmage. I'm not going to back up. I'm going to keep space between my feet and stay square to the line of scrimmage, right? I'm going to try to cut them off with my feet first. I'm going to cut them off with my feet first, staying inside, right? And I'm almost want to take a charge, like as if I'm playing basketball, right? Now, if I can stay square on a guy so good that I can take a charge, only thing that I need to do at that point is now just reach out my hands and jam them. The last thing you need to add is your inside hand, right? I add my inside hand jam, boom, and then it's going to transition to me looking at the inside of his hip. All right. So, and then really what it does, here's really the magic of this technique is that it takes away any guesswork. I know exactly which hand I'm gonna hit him with, right? Like what it is the magic again is if you didn't catch it was I took the reactionary nature of playing defensive back off the table. Right. So usually you got guys that can shake you in. There's some guys out there that can shake you in a phone booth, right? Because you're over there trying to guess his move and try to stay square with him. Right. Like that's not my game. Like I had good top end speed. My agility was good, wasn't great, right? So I wasn't even going to try to match him laterally, right? I'm going to take a step to get a patient. He's going to have to release to get in his route. And when he does, I'm going to stay inside and I'm going to hit him with my inside hand, right? I want to meet him crossing the line of scrimmage. I don't want to back up, right? I want to meet him crossing the line of scrimmage, right? And so when I talk to my guys, I'm like, okay, and I point at the line, like he's going across the line between here and here. It's really no confusion. All this other little shit that he does at the line, that's just a distraction. He's gonna have to cross the line of scrimmage between here and here, and it's only like 2.5 yards, right? And then if I say to myself that, all right, well, he can't win inside, right? He's got to go outside, right? Then I'm gonna get hands on him, right? And then by me taking away the inside, I'm taking away 85% of the route tree. Why wouldn't you take away the inside? Right? It makes no sense to me personally why you would opposite hand jam, right? Just to give away the inside and allow the receiver to get space between him and the quarterback. Right? So you're literally by doing opposite hand jam, you're literally teaching them to give space for the ball to get in. Okay, so I don't do that. I'm inside hand jam, I force the fade. All right, I forced the fade again. And so now that I know that my technique, I actually start to look for those type of players. Right. All right. Now I'm looking for guys that just got good top end speed. And this is why I'll find a receiver or I'll find a receiver, right, that likes to be in physical and he can play corner for me. Right. And this is why I got a running back that I took with me to Georgia Military College. He went with me to Georgia Military College. He played running back at Dodge City, right? And he played cornerback for less than a year, right? And he signed a Division I scholarship to Old Dominion, right? And he was only 5'8". He's a little dude, okay? But he had good top end speed, right? He had contact courage, right? Wanted to hit people, and he was coachable, okay? And we got him to a Division I school in 8 months transition from playing running back. Okay, so moving on to the transition. Okay, so after we transition from the line of scrimmage, all right, now we want to mirror the hips. Okay, so we want to be in a trail position. We want to be in a position, all right, in the middle of their route where we can reach out and touch their hip. Okay, for one, if I'm hip to hip, then I can't read his hip. All right, so eyes on the hip, and I want to be in a low trail technique. Again, I got to have confidence in my speed to know that once it gets to a certain point of this route, I know that it's a fade, and then that little one step, I can catch up to him, I can lean on him, and I can play it on the ball. All right, so we want to be in a low trail technique. We want to have confidence in our speed, right? All right, and then we want to have understanding of route progression. Okay, so if I feel, right, a guy leaning on me, I got to know why he's leaning on me, right? If I feel a guy fading away, I should have an idea of what that means to me, right? If he's fading away, all right, so he's eliminated, right, most of the routes. Only thing he can run is possibly a comeback, even though he's taking away a lot of his space, all right, to run his comeback, but he's more than likely just running the fade, right? And so then I know that, all right, I can get out of low trail and I can get hip to hip, put my shoulder on him, and then play the ball. Okay, and that brings us to the finish. Okay, so we want to be airtight by the time we're ready to play the finish. This is the most important part. All right, again, like I said, we want to make the quarterback throw a perfect ball. Like most of the time, if you're close to the receiver, he's not going to try you anyways, right? And so the technique alone gets you into a position where the quarterback don't want to deal with it. Like I'm not trying to. He don't want to throw a pick. You know what I'm saying? He'd rather just throw to a different guy. We're going to be closer than everybody else. We're going to make the quarterback pat the ball. He's not open, right? Plays over. Okay. All right. So if we're in a position where we have to break, we need to break towards the top shoulder. All right. We want to transition our eyes from the receiver to the ball in our finish. All right. And then the most important part is lean and locate. Okay. The greatest transition I got, which as a player, is when I learned how to lean on a receiver. All right. Now, when you lean on a receiver and you turn into the receiver, right, you take his lane and then the play's over, man. It's a cheat code because you get away with a lot of pass interferences, but when you locate the ball, your eyes are back and you have, right to play the ball. So then you can get away with the lean part. So you can't just be leaning on them and don't never locate the ball, right? And you should never be locating the ball if you can't lean on it. He's not throwing the ball to you, right? A lot of times the ball ends up over your head when you see guys do that. All right. And then obviously we want to fight to the end, all right, and find a way to get the ball out. And we want to separate the receiver's hands from the ball. All right, like I talked about is what I learned from Coach Belichick. We want to punch up and through. We're in the trail position, right? If we got to make a break, all right, and we're breaking towards the back shoulder, the top shoulder of the receiver. All right, we want to pull the back hand. All right, so for example, like if the ball's coming in right here, right, and I'm on this back shoulder, all right, if I pull this back hand, because that's how he's going to stop the ball, right, is with his back hand. Pull that back hand, right, and it's hard to make a play with his front side hand. All right, so it's just different ways to really focus on how to get the ball out. Okay, as far as my press man philosophy. All right, and really, that's really all I got. I can talk about my philosophy of praying press man, and then also my progression of how to get there. Like we start off on the ladder just to make sure that we can stay square on the line of scrimmage. All right. Now, the only difference between playing press man and press quarters is this. Okay. So now that I'm inside, I'm aligned the same exact way, right? So let's say the ball's inside there, right? All right. And quarters, obviously we're not going to take the under routes or the drags. We're not going to take the anything under 5 yards. Okay. So when I shoot my inside hand, right, and he fights through my inside hand, I can feel an under route, right? So at that point, I add my outside hand, I push him, right, and then I exit and go out to my quarters. It's really just that simple. When I feel him force himself to run a drag through my inside hand, I know that's a route that I can pass off. All right, as far as playing quarters. Okay, so that's how we can marry techniques. So it's really not that hard. So I'm teaching press man, but then add one more drill, and now I'll teach press quarters as well, right? And so now that I've spent all my time working on press quarters and press man, why would I run cover 3? You get what I'm saying? It's like I'm maximizing practice time. That's the magic. It's no magic. It's fundamentals. So man, that's me. That's what I believe in. This is a little bit about my defense and my philosophies. Like I said, man, I could talk another hour, but it's getting late.
Yeah, I want a chance to some of the guys to ask some questions, but
Yeah.
I want guys. This is 90% of football. Like I know most of the guys on this call are young, bruh. This is how it is, and a lot of people see the games. You're like, oh, it's 2-hour game, 4-hour game, and then you got in high school a couple hours of practice. When you get to college, if you're lucky, you get to college, and it's dagger impossible to make it to the league. But if you do, this is what you do from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day. You're in there, and the coach is telling you his philosophy, so you can learn, so you can understand. And it's like for you guys, I know most of you probably don't understand fronts, but I got excited when Thad said, "Hey, I'm gonna teach the guys fronts." Like knowing what the defensive linemen are doing, you're gonna be way ahead of everybody else because you can understand, hey, the ball may come out quicker here, or I understand my personnel and my teammates. He's better in this play or whatever. Who's in all this type of stuff, man. And it's your brain is going to once you start to learn it and you get exposed to this information you'll be able to process this information so fast, and now you can play faster. Knowing the terminology, you're able to play faster. You're able to feel confident. Ever been in a room and you don't know what anybody's saying, and you just like, oh man, your armpits get sweaty, and you're like, you're getting exposed to it before you even, there. So just you guys are truly blessed to be in this room. But yeah, anybody got any questions for that? I mean, you're talking with an NFL player, college coach on both sides of the ball. Man, ask any questions.
What you got for
All
me,
right.
Mark? You got a question for me?
Shoot, man, I got a bunch of questions for you, man. But I'm gonna keep it brief because we got mostly young fellas on here. Um, excuse me. Um, I really like what you said about your philosophy on keeping it simple. A lot of guys do like to get too fancy, and I think it's an ego thing. So I do like that, and then also being okay. I got a question for you. As a defensive coordinator, you talked about playing complementary football on the run game and pass game. How do you feel about complementary football with your offense? How do you're a defensive coach in this game?
Mm-hmm.
Does that affect your calls on how the offense does their thing?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, obviously you got to score points, but it's not always about scoring points. Complementary football could mean just simply, you want to hold on to the ball right here. We don't want him to get another possession, and so, the play call is going to dictate that, or we need to score fast right here, or, whatever the case may be. Complementary football to me is eliminating possessions to the team. You got protecting the football. You know, special teams is a big part of it. Of playing complementary football, just simply protecting the football. A lot of times we talk about offensively. How do you play complementary football? Like, hate to say it this way, but run the ball.
Yeah.
Run the ball. You know what I'm saying? If you run the ball, then you're controlling the clock. You're not giving away the ball. You're not turning it over. Just the risk of turning it over every single time that you throw the ball. Like, as a defensive coach, like, the ball's in the air, like, that's the amount of risk that it is that you take from throwing it versus passing it. Like, we're like wolves pouncing on the ball. If we see the ball, like, it's not in nobody's position when the ball's released. It could be anybody's at that point, right? And so that's a riskier play. You know what I'm saying? And so anytime that they throw the ball, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a chance that something bad could happen.
All right, cool. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and this was recorded, guys. We are going to post this on the platform so you can go back and study, man. Listen to it again. Listen to it a few times, and this, having access to this information is going to get, improve your skills. And Thad also, Coach Turner, he's in the platform now, so you can shoot him a message if you have any questions. And remember, Thad knows a lot of people. He's a coach and he knows a lot of people. So you want to get cool with these guys. That's the main thing. That's the coolest thing about this platform, dude. Like, you can ask coaches, NFL players. Like, you guys have access to multiple NFL players. So use it. All
And
right.
I
So
like watching film, to be real with you. And I do hit up coaches all the time, you know, um, you know, and so one thing I will say is that, when you guys, I'm just kind of guessing right now. Most of you guys are probably in high school or whatnot. When you guys think about making a highlight tape to send to recruiters, you got to understand that it is a highlight tape. It's supposed to feel like a highlight tape. It's supposed to intrigue the coaches to a point where they want to see more. I personally have never signed a player that I haven't watching full game tape on. All right. So, but that highlight tapes gets my interest. Now, I will say that not every coach, sadly enough, not every coach watches a full game tape, right? And even in your recruiting, you know what I'm saying? That should raise a red flag, to be honest with you. If you ask your coach, what full game did you watch of mine? Or if he, you know what I'm saying, and then you want to hear his comments about it, and I'll do the same thing. A lot of times these coaches, they can watch your full game tape and not know it, and you not know it. We got these different tools that we can do it. I know a lot of high school players don't know that, but I watch every tape, and I generally, like, if you're a player that I'm interested in, all right, I'm gonna see the last game because hopefully that's a playoff game, right? So I'm gonna watch like at least a few series of that last game, and then probably your best opponent. I want to see how you did against them because I already seen your highlights. I want to see how you did against that number whatever player in the nation that you lining up against. So that's just one thing about highlight tapes. But I love recruit. I recruit all the time. I recruit every single day, regardless if I got a team to give them to or not. Like, I look at players, always trying to find good players.
That's right, man. Well, I appreciate you, Coach Turner. Man, we'd love to have you on here again because I know you got a lot of wisdom, and that's what we need, man. So I appreciate you, and thank you for everyone else coming out. Apply the information. Hopefully, you took notes, and I'll see you on the next session. All right, guys.
All right, now.